what actually a mouthpiece was designed for, other than to keep you from clinking your teeth together or biting your tongue. I had no idea that it was to align your jaw. The season that we did not use the Power Plus, we lost 4 kids, 2 that were season-ending concussions, and obviously we contributed to the Power Plus mouth guard because, like I said, we've not had one since we've been using them. Obviously, we've competed a lot better than what we did last year. We have not had a concussion this season. Obviously, a tremendous factor for us for not losing kids, and their performance level is a lot higher as well. My son was actually the quarterback on the second state championship team, but one of the things that he was able to do as being the quarterback, the mouth guard was on the lower part of his bite, so he was able to speak clearly. And that's a huge thing in athletics, is to be able to communicate.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.
The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at NETSN.live.
Welcome, everyone, to the Power Plus Mouth Guard Beasts from the East show. It's week 13, the area round. It's your boy, Brett 20 here. Alongside of me, you got the usual suspects. We got KO Kyle Owens, Jeremy Hubbard, Corey Marshall, Vincent Johnson. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Yeah, going good. Going good.
Got the round 2. Playoffs are in full force, guys. And just real quick, how did you guys do last week in the picks? I did pretty decent last week.
Better than I thought I was going to do, for sure. I think it ended up 6-4. And looking at the scores originally, I thought I went about 3-7, Vince. I wasn't sure I did very well, but I'll take 6-4 last week. There were some interesting results.
It's about the 4th or 5th week I've gone like 7-3. So I think, I went 7-3 this week. A couple of weeks I went 8-2 or something like that. But I've been pretty steady, like, surprisingly. The Tatum pick helped. So I kind of picked on Tatum last week. I told him I expect for them to win since I'm actually going to pick them this time around. But that helped me out.
Yeah, I went 7-3 too. The Jefferson one hurt me. I thought Jefferson was going to pull that off against Pottsboro, but 7-3 is not bad after a couple 5-5 weeks that I had. So I'm trending upwards now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had 8-2. The game I was at, I had Brook Hill winning. That it didn't go my way, and I think the other one I had
Yeah, that one.
I had wrong was the what pick was it I had wrong?
I had Athens wrong. I thought that was going to work
No,
out.
it was the ARP Tigers, which I'm glad I missed that one. I had decab, so those are two I
And
missed.
that one, yeah.
So
7-3, baby. It's 7-3.
oh, Corey stepping up with a 7-3. Well, good news is, guys, we start over again this week. Got some really good area matchups here to talk about today. Let's go and start with game one. Will be Thursday night. So make sure you get your picks in on Thursday. We have a couple of Thursday night games in the mix. So get your picks in Thursday. I know we had a couple of people last week. I don't know who they were, but I noticed that there were less picks on for the Thursday games than Friday, which means they forgot to put their picks in on Thursday. So make sure you get them in. We got Sunnyvale and Gilmer. That game will be at Rose Stadium in Tyler. Kyle, looks like that field behind you there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Earl Campbell Field at Christus Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium.
There you go. Guys, I'm looking down at Sunnyvale's schedule here. They lost to Terrell and Kaufman as their only two losses. The Kaufman one kind of is weird to me because Lindale beat them earlier in the season pretty bad. They struggled this year a little bit more than I thought they would. But they're in a district that's not real strong. You've got Dallas, Lincoln, and Wills Point, Roosevelt, some teams that aren't predominantly football powers. And then it's just Gilmer. I think we know how good Gilmer is. They won an offensive battle last week with Center. I'm sticking with the Buckeyes this week. I think they're going to go on and may see a All East Texas game with them next week, possibly.
Yeah, I'm going to have to roll with the Buckeyes too. I was fortunate enough to see them last week. We'll talk about that later tonight, I know, in our wrap-up show. But, yeah, the Gilmer Buckeyes, man, Will Henderson is an absolute monster out there. They got speed all over the field, does Gilmer. Defense has been playing a lot better here recently over the past month or so. So, yeah, give me the Gilmer Buckeyes. I'm same thing with you, Brett. I think Sunnyvale, that loss to Kaufman is my hang up with Sunnyvale. So give me Gilmer. Roll Buckeyes in the black flag defense.
It's funny because when I look at this, I hate to look at stats, but we don't know a lot about Sunnyvale. Obviously, the district's bad. I'm with you that the Kaufman loss is really bad. They did only play 4 games against teams with a winning record, right? They beat Aubrey, who we're going to talk about a little bit later. They beat Dallas Carter, who knocked off Sulphur Springs last week, right? So that's a little better team than we thought. They beat Caddo Mills pretty bad as well, but then they lost to Terrell, whatever. You mentioned, I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I know last week it was 69-34 in that Gilmer Center game. There could be a lot of points scored in this one too. I'm looking at last week alone, they had 2 guys over 100 yards receiving. Man, they like to throw it around, it looks like. And it's a scary game because we know Gilmer defensively, they've got some things figured out right early on. We talked about that. But we talked about Will Henderson. You did 206 yards last week in the win. Another back, Dre Smith, had 200 yards also. I just feel like it's playoff time. You got to start going with Gilmer. And to go against Gilmer in the playoffs, especially this early, is kind of wrong. I'm going to go Buckeyes too.
Let's go. Gilmer Buckeyes playing the best football as of late. Not going to pick against them. So.
All right. Vince, go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Gilmer as well. I'm not gonna go against Gilmer at this point. They're playing pretty good. Like Corey has said in the past, you want to be playing your best football as of late. So they're that's what they're doing. So I'm definitely riding with Gilmer.
All right, so we're all going with Gilmer there in game one. Game two, the game I'll be at Thursday night. Vince is going to be hopefully joining me in that one as a second round matchup between Garrison and Beckville, fellas. What a tough matchup for both teams. I know we got to see Garrison last Thursday, and they're not bad. They got a couple Yarbrough that are pretty good.
Yeah, and those are not even guys you hear about when you talk about Garrison, right? You know, just looking at last week alone, we knew Omarion Raspberry coming in was going to be a stud. We knew J.D. Black was a stud, but Antonio Yarbrough came in, gets a rushing touchdown, gets a pick six, and Brett and guys, you know, if you watched it, they dominated from the very beginning of the game. I don't remember who won the coin toss, but if they won the coin toss, that means they dominated every aspect of the game. And
I think they actually lost the coin toss.
well,
I
you know,
think
something had to go
Leon got
right.
it first, and then they stopped them, and then it was them all the way.
You know, but there's a couple things interesting about Garrison. We talked about this during the broadcast. They are so big up front. The offensive line is massive. I mean, I'm not joking, guys. If you haven't seen them, they're a 4A or 5A sized offensive line. Now, and you know what hurts them, but it's going to hurt Beckville too. Is those guys go both ways. They wore down a little bit. They didn't have to play in the second half, right? But you know, that's going to wear on you if you're in a game as you go along. Beckville last week knocks off Alba Golden. I've been pretty critical of Beckville, especially going to week one. They got hammered week one, and they have not looked back since then. They've been very, very good since week one. Jacoby Williams, of course, you know, it's hard to be much better than that guy, right? He's, you know, about 40 touchdowns, 2,500 yards total on the year.
Well, they've done kind of what you talked about that Grace Prep did. They put him at quarterback this year.
Yeah.
Get him the ball more, and he's always touching on every play.
Yeah, which is right at that level, especially give your best player the football all the time. Now, I think what makes it difficult for Beckville, you know, playing Garrison is, you know, the offense that Garrison runs, a little double slot or the wing tee, whatever you want to call it, whatever formations they want to get into with the bevy of backs that they have. I think it's such a challenge defensively to stop those guys. And we saw in that game Thursday night as well that once they lull you to sleep with the run, they'll hit you over the top for the pass with Shepard and some of those guys. So, man, this is a big boy football game. I love it. It's not fair. It's in round two. And call me, I guess, a little recency bias or being there, but I'm going to go with Garrison in this one. I really think, man, they're both really good. I love Garrison and what I saw him do, and I'm going to go with Garrison in this one.
Yeah, this is tough, and you said it right, Jeremy. It's unfair. It's unfair to both these teams. It's unfair to East Texas that we have to see this in the area round of the playoffs. This is a regional final type matchup, something to go to state, a state championship type game, and we're getting it in the second round. So it's unfortunate that one of these teams has to exit the playoffs so early. These are two really good football teams. Beckville, that opening loss to Timpson, I mean, everybody's lost to Timpson, but that opening loss was without Terry Bussey, and Beckville got blown out in that game. But Beckville has been playing a lot better football in these past few weeks. They're not the same team they were at the start of the year. Whereas Garrison got Timpson at nearly full strength at the end of the year for a district title with everything on the line, and came real close to knocking off Timpson. And I'm using Timpson as the example because it's both their losses, and that we put them as the class of that region. So Garrison played Timpson a lot closer, more later in the year. So because of that alone, because of that little tidbit right there, I'm picking Garrison. That's how close this game is. I'm splitting hairs at this point, but give me Garrison.
Sad thing is, fellas, the winner of this game probably gets Cooper in round three.
It doesn't get easier.
there's no easier.
And then after that, Timpson.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it
doesn't get any easier.
These guys are just going to be just slobber knocking, killing each other the rest of the way here. And I didn't make my pick, but again, me and Jeremy got to see Garrison in person. I was just surprised by the size as well. Like, they're just so big up front. Like, And then they're just juggling in backs. It didn't matter who was back there. They got speed. And then when they needed to pass, they threw it and got. I mean, they have the ability to do that. Like some teams I've seen this year, they just don't have that. But I mean, they've got dudes outside. They just don't have to do it very often. They lull you to sleep, like you said, and then over the top, boom, there's that touchdown. I like both teams, but I'm going to go with Garrison. I've seen them play. I know how good they are. That game could have been 120-0. I mean, easily. Like I think it was 27-0, and then we were 6 minutes in the game. I mean, I just think that Garrison's rolling right now. As close as they played Timpson, we know how good Timpson is. I think their sights are set on a rematch for the region here in a few weeks. They've got a lot to get there, but I'm thinking they're getting by this one. I'm going to go with Garrison Bulldogs.
Ooh, I guess I got to be the odd guy. I'm picking the Beckville Bearcats. You know, I think, I think Beckville's a little pissed off. We've disrespected them past couple of years, especially in the Timpson game, and I'm not gonna doubt them. I've been doubting. I haven't been doubting them all year. I think I picked Beckville in every game except for Timpson. And I know you guys saying Garrison is a team, but man, Beckville's been disrespecting some people, and you got to play pissed off in the playoffs. Garrison's really good. I knew Garrison's gonna be good anyway. And this is that game. This is that game. When I'm picking Beckville, I'm picking Beckville. Eat 'em up, cats.
I think I'm gonna go with Beckville too. Uh, I think that this is a tough matchup. It doesn't bother me that they face each other right now, because when I was growing up, that's how it was. You started playoffs. There was no easy games. You started out smack. You had to go against the best. At times, and like you said, the round after this is gonna get harder, and then after that it'll get harder. Uh, this is just unfortunately, other divisions probably have easier um roads to state, whereas to them they just don't. You gotta be tough as nails at this point. You gotta be playing your best football your first and second weeks, every week pretty much. um I like Beckville. I like Garrison too. I didn't get a chance to see Garrison, but I like what they do, and I've been picking Beckville all year. I think I'm gonna stay on that wave. It's nothing against Garrison. Honestly, Garrison may come out and smack 'em. I have no idea.
Well, you'll
Uh,
find out, Vince.
yeah, yeah. So um, I'm sure with that. I'm gonna go with the Beckville pick. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. That's going to be a little split. I could see either team winning. I just Garrison's they're just the team I think right now. We'll see. Again, we'll have that game. We'll be doing it on behalf of Texan Live this week. Vince and I will be on the call for that one. So make sure you check that out on Thursday night if you don't have anything else going on. Should be a good one. All right. Game 3, Iowa Colony Pioneers. Ranked team in the state, undefeated, 11-0, going up against some team from Lindale. Kyle, I don't know. Are they the Bears?
It's the
The
Fly
Cowboys?
Eagles Fly.
Oh, it's
from
the
Lindale.
Eagles. Oh, okay.
Yes.
My bad.
He said some team from Lindale. That's disrespectful.
No, I had to give Kyle a hard time. The Lindale Eagles. Guys, I looked down through this Iowa Colony schedule, and I know you guys, some of you don't like to look at schedules, but I'm looking at a team I don't really know much about. I need to see who they've played. Why are they 11-0? Okay, and I look down through here. They've got the Bay City win and Needville. They're still in the playoffs. They did beat those two teams, but by a combined 5 points that they won those games by. And you look at Lindale and all the teams that they've played. I think they've been a little more battle tested. They played Kilgore, they played Chapel Hill, they played Gilmer. A lot of good teams on the schedule. that 11-0, man, it's just like, man, do you pick against a team that just doesn't know how to lose? But to me, I just think I've seen Lindale and I've seen what they can do. I know this Iowa Colony team has got a lot of speed. They've got a lot of size, but they're young. Their school doesn't have senior class yet, I don't believe. It's a new school. Next year, I think, is Iowa Colony's year. I don't think it's this year. I think Lindale ends it. And I'm going with the Lindale Eagles, fellas.
Yeah, this what I don't like this region that Kilgore, Lindale, and Chapel Hill got put in. That is a lot of travel for all three of those teams to have to play these playoff games. But all that aside, I know nothing about Iowa Colony. I just found out tonight when we were talking pre-show and then just now that this is a brand new school. I didn't even know that. That's probably why I've never heard of them. So I know nothing about Iowa Colony, but what I do know is my Lindale Eagles. And I'm not going against Coach Cochran. And last time, here's a little tidbit for y'all. Last time that the Lindale Eagles played at Merrill Green Stadium in Bryan, Texas, it was in 2020 on their road to state when they beat Needville 70-56. And Jordan Jenkins had 9 touchdowns in that game, 8 rushing and a kickoff return for a touchdown. They've got good vibes, good mana down there in Bryan at Merrill Green Stadium. So give me the Lindale Eagles to upset the Iowa Colony Pioneers.
All right, Jeremy, what do you got?
Man, I'm torn on this one. I don't have the connection to Lindale you guys have. I know what Clint Thurman and that offense has done this year, and I love Coach Cochran and what he does, and whatever. And none of this is anything. It's Lindale. I think they've had a great year, and we've seen them do some great things this year. It's hard to ignore 11-0, right? No matter who you're playing, especially, I think people look at their youth as a bad thing, and I kind of look at it like, okay, they're taking a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, and they're 11-0, right? And I don't know how much you guys know about some of these schools are playing, but they went on the road and beat Navasota. That's never easy to go to Navasota and win, even if Navasota's down. They beat El Campo, who was a preseason pick to win the district, and a lot of people's preseason pick to make a little run because of the coach Travis Reeve there, right? They won at Bay City. They beat Needville. They run the ball for just over 7 yards a carry, and that's, man. I say in the playoffs, you got to stop the run. You got to be able to run. I'm torn, man, because kind of like Corey, I never want to pick against the East Texas team here. Lindale defensively, that's the conversation we've had all year. That's kind of been like the thing we're worried about with them, right? And now you're going to play a team that runs the ball 7 yards a carry. I can't get past the 0 and 11. I'm going to. People are going to hate me. I'm going to go Iowa Colony here. I just think that I think you have to respect that a little bit and the teams that they've played along the way. Not that Lindale hasn't played a tough schedule. We're in the second round of the playoffs for crying out loud. Everybody here's a good quality team. But I'm going to go with Iowa Colony.
In an attempt to change your mind, Jeremy.
Take off.
Let me speak for the Lindale contingency here. So Lindale was an underdog against Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill, high explosive offense, and they had a game plan to keep the offense off the field. And you said just there in your answer, teams that can run the ball and stop the run. We know Lindale can run the football. Lindale is very good at running the football. Lindale's defense, to me, in my opinion, their weakness has never been the front seven. I think the run defense is fine for Lindale. It's the secondary that's always given me pause for concern for Lindale. So I think going up against a running team like that is actually an advantage for Lindale because I think they're better up front than they are on the back end of the defense. But with all that being said, the main reason you should do it is because they've already won there at Merrill Green. All right. So just go with where they've been.
Man, no, you're right. I mean, just some things about the score and I look at giving up 49 points to Palestine. I look up giving 64 to Kilgore, and that's in the last month, Now, they didn't give up many points to Jacksonville, obviously, nobody gives up a lot of points to Jacksonville, right? I can say that. We're not going back there again this year, are we, Brett? Okay. I was nervous, by the way, the whole time we were there last week.
So y'all think this is funny though. I called Jeremy before the game, and I was like, "Hey, Jeremy, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I told them who was coming up and broadcast with me, and they told me that you were banned from the stadium. The too many bad Jacksonville comments on air.
I wore my COVID mask the whole way in and out of the stadium just to be sure nobody knew who I was. No, golly,
Gotta go Shiesty next time, Jay Shiesty.
I should have.
For
Yeah,
the whole
I'm gonna
cover.
stick with my Iowa Colony pick, and I don't know. I just have this feeling that even I look at the youth as a good thing, right? That if you're able to do that with that group, I'm with you. I think next year they could be really good. They got 41 guys back from last year. Those 41 guys are all going to be back again next year. But heck, they're 11-0 right now, and it's hard to go against my 11-0.
I'm gonna further help you out in just a second. Okay. So they only won 2 games the year prior to that. And then they went 11-0 this year. And the games that they won were really close. The teams, the good teams, the better teams that they beat were really close games. Not saying they wouldn't have beat them either way. That to me is like a March Madness team, right? You play against a really young, 27 and 1 team. They're in March Madness. They got a number 1 seed. And then you play against a 25 or you play against a 17 and 13 veteran team out of the ACC, right? They've been battle tested. They got bruises and scars. They had to go through the best conference in all of basketball. And you play against that 1-2. Who are you putting your money on? I'm putting my money on that 17 and 13 team. They got a bunch of seniors. They got a bunch of guys that's been battle tested. They've been here before. When the game's on the line, who you gonna go with? You gonna trust a senior or a sophomore? I'm trusting the senior. You got good. Now, don't get me wrong. I saw Iowa Colony. I saw them a couple of games. They got great skill positions. They are quick. They are fast. They're exactly like Chapel Hill, exactly like Center. I'm only using them Dangerfield. I'm using them because those are the big offenses in East Texas, right? And I know no disrespect to anybody else, but they scored more points than everybody else, pretty much, besides Beckville and some other schools. There's no disrespect. But just put my eye on them. Their skill position like that. They're still young, and Lindale, what does Lindale do? They played against teams like that before. And what do they do against teams like that? They slow them down. We're gonna run the football, and that's what we're gonna do. Are you gonna stop them from scoring points? Possibly not. They're gonna score their points. They may not score 80, they may not score 40, they may score 28. But as long as Lindale scores 29 or 35, they win the football game. Can they stop them? Like I said, Lindale's offensive line is probably the best in all of East Texas, besides maybe Longview. Probably better than Longview, to be honest with you. But I'm just saying, their offensive line is massive. And Iowa Collins got a good defensive lineman. He's a junior. He's like 6'3", 245. Looks like Ivory Christian, the guy that played for
Preacher Man.
Friday Night Live. Yeah, he looks just like that guy. I was like, man, he's a man, isn't he? I mean, he's massive. But their pass rushes, their defense is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. Their team is very good. I don't trust youth. Like, that's the only thing about it. When it comes to winning games, I don't trust youth. They get nervous. They get scared. Anything can happen. They get down 21-0. What's going to happen in the first quarter? Have they been down 21-0 before? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're 11-0. That 11-0 scares me. I don't like that. That's a bad omen. You're 11-0. Now all of a sudden you're going to start playing close games. You
Hey,
play
Corey.
against a veteran team that's probably playing against the best district. I don't know.
Corey, is that a trap game?
It is very much so a trap game. And that is a trap game of all proportions. Nobody's going to pick Lindale. Nobody's picking Lindale. Lindale wins this game by at least 21 points.
Oh,
They beat Iowa Colony convincingly.
I was saying he
And
picked
if they don't beat Iowa Colony, then whatever. I'm not picking anybody else for this year. They beat Iowa Colony. I'm telling you.
All right, Vince.
11-0. I mean, like Jeremy said, it's hard to pick against that. But I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know him. I don't know nothing about him. And I ain't picking against the East Texas team. Not in this situation. So I know what Lindale is. I've seen what they've done. I've seen their resume. That's cool if they run the ball and all, because we run the ball at Chapel Hill and they was able to shut that down too. So I'm going with the Eagles. That's just it, point blank.
All right. Game 4. We've got the Aubrey Chaparrals versus the Van Vandals. And look at Kyle. I don't know. You have to ask Kyle who he's going to pick this game. Guys, looking at Aubrey, they were district champs in their district, District 5, 4A Division 2. They lost their first 3 games. They had 1 game canceled. So the first 4 weeks, they were 0-3. They lost to Sunnyvale. They're still in the playoffs now. They lost to Anna. They're still in the playoffs now. They lost to Frisco Creek. They're still in the playoffs. So they've lost to some good teams. I'm looking at their district schedule. Not super impressive with the games that they've actually won. I think that the tougher games on their schedule they have lost. And then, of course, we know how good Van is. You know, they've only lost to Chapel Hill. They lost to Carthage. The weird one was the Bullard loss, but I don't know. That was just a weird thing. They were able to bounce back last week and get the win against Spring Hill. But guys, I'm going with Van here. I think it's a Van Gilmer matchup in the 3rd round. I think that's where we're headed, and so I'm going to go with the Van Vandals. I just think their schedule's been tough, and they've played a tough schedule. And besides that one weird Bullard game, they've been really solid all year.
Yeah,
I'm trapping out the Vando.
We're trapping out the Vando, Corey. We're trapping out the Vando this week. Yeah, I think Van, you know, they did have a stinker in the final week of the year, the season against Bullard. But they bounced back last week, scored 63 on Spring Hill. I think their offense kind of got back rolling again. Caden Rowe had a heck of a catch over a Spring Hill defender last Friday night. So I think Van is kind of rolling in the right direction. They had 10 possessions last week, did the Vandals, scored on 9 of them, with the 10th one being a kneel down at the end of the game. That's pretty good efficiency, Jeremy. I would, as a coach, you'd love to see that, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Van. You sold me with that one. No, I was picking Van before that, right? I mean, they did beat the mighty Lindale Eagles, right? We just had a long talk about that. But
hey, easy.
I'm just saying. Anyway, no, Van's the pick here. You know, I mean, we've talked all year long about how special Van is, and you know, looking ahead to the Van Gilmer matchup, whatever. But I think Van's they're not looking down the road. I think we're looking at Van further down the road even than that. So Van will win this one, I think, pretty convincingly.
You know, I'm gonna say this. It feels great to have all these East Texas teams play against the rest of the state. And then, you know, it's disrespectful when you still have to play other teams, and then East Texas teams still have to play against another East Texas team. Like that the state of Texas should be like, why do they get to do that? Because it's so dang hard. You throw a rock and you can get a state championship team, caliber team anywhere, right? That's just what it is. I had to throw it out there. I just look at all these teams. I'm like, man, these teams are good. Small ball in East Texas is rough. I say small ball. 4A and under, 4A to 3A, maybe a little bit of 2A is just rough, period. But no, we're trapping out the Vando. Like I'm not going against Van. Van's proved me wrong at least twice this year. I hadn't picked against them since, even with them losing a Carthage. I didn't care. I'm still rocking with them. It's Van all the way. I'm not picking against Van. They showed me something. They tough.
I agree with that. I'm not picking against Van either. I don't know what happened that last week of the season, but it seems like they kind of gotten it together. I'm riding with Van, man. I'm not going nowhere. Win or loss, I'm right here.
So Vans should be worried because we all picked them.
Oh goodness.
There was a graphic on the screen of who we all picked.
Yeah, just don't watch the show. That's all you gotta do.
Game 5, guys. An East Texas battle. This is where myself and Jeremy will be Friday night. So you have the Harmony. Is that Harmony? Harmony versus the Arc Tigers.
The hot eye.
Man, just a another great East Texas matchup here, guys. And man, ARP did me good last week. Even though I picked against them, they still said, "Oh no, we're gonna go on and just gonna win this one and show you what's up." And honestly, you look at this matchup. I think Harmony, you know, they're the better team coming in this game. I just think looking at the schedule and who they've played, who they've beaten. They lost to Hooks early, very close game. We know how good Hooks is, but they got that big win over Dangerfield the last week of the season. Huge win there. They lost to Beckville. We already talked about how good Beckville is. I think they just got more solid wins than ARP. I think ARP's had a great season. I think this game will be competitive. I really do. I think ARP will compete. But who would have thought coming into the season, and we talked preseason, that Troop would be out first round and ARP is still in play. It just depends on how the matchup goes. And shout out to my man Ty. Shout out to my man Ty Barsley with the game-winning field goal in overtime. Used to be on the AYSA board out there, and he was one of the soccer kids that when I was refereeing and stuff. And all that soccer paid off. He'll have a memory for his rest of his life on a game-winning field goal. That's a cool moment. But I'm gonna stay with my scenario. I'm gonna go with Harmony because I think they're the better team. But if ARP wins, I'd be excited for him. I really would. I think honestly, Coach Meeky has overachieved with this turning this program around in year two and getting a playoff win. I mean, he's playing with house money at this point. So ARP has nothing to lose. I think the pressure is all on Harmony. Can they come out and play a good game? And I've seen ARP in person play. They're a really good team. Vince and I went and did that game in Grand Saline. They came out and took it to them. I just think what Harmony has is they have a lot of returning experience, playoff experience, and they're on a mission to. I think there's a lot of folks that said that Harmony's run was kind of a fluke. I think they're out to prove that it wasn't, that they're legit. And so I'm going to go with Harmony, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, this one's with my ties that I have to Harmony, it's hard for me to go against the Eagles. So I'm taking Harmony, but I just think they're battle tested. Corey talked about Lindell being battle tested earlier, and this Harmony team's battle tested, man. They lost their first 4 games last season, made an epic run to the state semifinal, ended in heartbreak, losing to Poth in the state semifinals. And then you come back this year with all the expectations. You get snake bitten with injuries early on. Coach Jenkins said himself the most injuries he's seen in all of his years of coaching. So you're fighting through all that adversity, then to run through the district, which still has 3 teams in the playoffs, by the way. So they went 3-1 in the first round. So it's at least a decent district. It's better than the district they go against. But then to fight through that, and then to get past that, get that monkey off your back of beating Dangerfield. My fear was that there may have been somewhat of a letdown coming into that first round playoff game. Yes, it's the playoffs, but when you go from playing Dangerfield to Hemp Hill, no disrespect to Hemp Hill, it's a little different level of competition. So my fear was a little bit of a letdown, but Harmony jumped up by like 20, 30 point lead in the first quarter. So I think Harmony is motivated to make this run again back towards a state championship. And I think ARP unfortunately has to face them in the second round. But I'm with you, Brett. I think it'll be a closer game than maybe a lot of people expect. I think ARP's going to give Harmony everything they can handle, but I just think Harmony is the better football team.
Who would have thought that ARP would have had the best performance out of that entire district last week, right? Troop loses. I'm trying to look here. Hold on. I just had it. Edgewood loses. We thought that would happen. But even the West Rusk win was not impressive, right? Winning by 19 over Redwater, not very impressive to me. So the ARP win was very impressive last week. I was told going in, I picked DCAB on the show last week. You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up changing my mind before Thursday and changed to pick the ARP. And a lot of that, I picked ARP on the show, and then I picked DCAB in my picks. And I did that because
that's why we suggest you stay with your pick on the show, Jeremy, because you second guess yourself.
No, I'm with you. But here's just through some looking at things and talking to people, here was the thing about ARP that people were leery of. Can they get in a physical game and be competitive and win a game? And I think the knock on ARP over the last few years has been that they can't. DCAB is a very physical team. and they came in, they stuck it to them. So here's the thing about ARP that is interesting to me. Their losses this year, they lost to Garrison by 4 touchdowns. I saw Garrison in person, losing to them by 4 touchdowns. I'm not worried about that, right? They lose to West Rush by 30 on the road, and they lose by a touchdown of Troop in a rivalry game. Other than that, I mean, they took care of business when they had to take care of business, right? Harmony, I'm one of those guys who said that going into this year, they needed to prove some things. They needed to prove that what they did last year wasn't a fluke. It wasn't lightning in a bottle. And they've done that through some major injuries. I just think ARP is scrappy enough to keep the thing close. I like the fact that I think both teams, Harmony's more battle tested in the playoffs. I think ARP is proven this year, just looking at the way they've handled their business and winning a tough game against DCAB last week, that they are not going to go in there and get blown out. I don't think they're capable of getting blown out in this game. I just don't. I don't think that's in them. And you're right, KO. Going from Dangerfield to Hemphill, I don't think there's enough of a trap game to lose that one. But if there is one, it could be this week, right? I mean, this is the game that you're going to get. You may get punched in the mouth a little bit and see how it goes. And the winner of this one has a good chance to make a little run here, right? I mean, you got Newton and New Boston. Newton should win that game. And is Newton what they have been? I don't know. But I think Harmony wins a game. I think they're the better team. But I think it's going to be a really good game. I hope it is for the broadcast sake, right? But then also, I mean, I don't know Schmink Dog from the next guy, right? But you guys have been praising the guy all year long, and I think that they've kind of got the culture there now to where I trust what they're doing. I trust what they're doing there, and I think they're going to be competitive in the game for sure.
One more point I want to add, just to tack on to what you were saying. Another thing is a lot of these teams that Harmony's going to have to go through are the same teams they went through last year who are going to have revenge on their mind. Newton being one of them, West Rusk being one of those teams.
Yeah.
So also you don't want, and I don't think this will happen. I don't think Coach Jenkins will allow this to happen, but you don't want Harmony to overlook Art anticipating that matchup with Newton in the next round. You can't look ahead in the playoffs. You have to we can look ahead. We're not playing, but as a team and as a coach, you can't look ahead. You got to focus on the team that's in front of you. And I think Coach Jenkins and Harmony will, but that's another just kind of fear that I'm in the back of my mind. You don't want to look ahead to Newton, like you say, Jeremy, then get punched in the mouth and be in a hole and then be in an absolute dogfight for the entire game.
I lived it about 3 days ago. I mean, truthfully, seriously, you I don't want to say you don't take them serious, but you look up against a team that's not better than you, and you're down by 2 scores and you can't catch up. It's just not. Yeah. The playoffs aren't built for you to be able to do that consistently, and so I think they'll be ready. I think Harmony will be ready. I just think ARP is gonna give them a better game than people think, even if Harmony plays well. That's all.
So I'm gonna hold this up. Chapel Hill, y'all know why. I could, Brett disrespected my school because he didn't put him on the picker, but it's okay. We can learn from him.
Didn't put him on the
dog is a Chapel Hill.
Are you?
Don't know.
Because it wasn't a good game to put on the pick 'em. They're going to beat El Campo by 28, 35 points.
But still, don't disrespect the blue and gold like that.
I didn't disrespect them. I tried to
listen. Y'all leave Chapel Hill alone. We don't need no jinx, no nothing. Y'all just scratch all of that. Nobody said about Chapel Hill. Everybody be quiet and just let Chapel Hill play.
Schmink Dog is a Chapel Hill graduate. So that's why we got much love for Schmink Dog. ARP all the way. I'm picking ARP in this one. But this is not just why I'm picking ARP. He's playing with house money at this point. Harmony is the favorite. They're going to be the favorite. And it's one of those things where this is that program defining win for ARP. They've been a great football team all year. They've had some ups and downs. They beat teams. They pretty much won the games that they were supposed to win, right? And they lost against a game, lost against a better opponent. This is a game where, it's both of your records are 1-0, right? You can tell it to your team. Guys, they're 1-0, we're 1-0. That doesn't matter who they played all year. This is 1-0 at this point. Who are you at this point? You'll come in and get beat by a team that should beat you guys, or you'll come in and compete. Like, what do you want to do? That's a dangerous opponent. As an opponent that don't have nothing to lose. They're not even a favorite. That's a dangerous opponent. And if you're Harmony, you've been that opponent before, so you know exactly what that feels like. So this is a trap game for Harmony, as of course. Do I think Harmony's a better team? I think they are. I think they got that H on the chest for a reason. But this is a perfect game for Arp to sneak up on Harmony and say, you know what, not today. I'm picking Arp in the upset. Trap game.
Well, I don't know. Man, it's tough. I want to pick Art, but then again, okay.
Ask her what she thinks.
Vince, ask Chloe what
Chloe, pick for me. You gonna pick for me? Yeah. Pick between Harmony or ARP. Which one do you like, Harmony or ARP? Here, let me show it to you. It's
That's
right
not
here.
fair to ask a little kid. You got to ask Eagles or Tigers.
That
That's
one?
what you're going to ask a little kid.
Yeah.
Which one?
Harmony.
Oh, there
Yeah.
we go.
Okay.
There it
Good
is.
job, Chloe.
Good job,
All right,
Chloe.
thanks, babe. Here, fist bump.
This is not how this works.
Boom. There we go. All right,
That's
That's what
awesome.
I'm talking about.
there it is. Harmony.
We need to get her on the
Chloe said
microphone,
so.
Vince, bring her on the broadcast, man. We need to.
I might just let her start doing my picks. She got an ice cream right now, so
I've seen people
she's
make
loving
picks
life.
with. I've seen people on the show make picks with less of a reason than she had. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
She at least liked the picture.
Yeah.
There we go. All
All
right.
right, Smink.
Hey. So yeah, Smeek's probably be calling us up. Hey,
I repped. Come on now. Come
all
on.
right. Game 6. West Rusk, New Diana, guys. Man, this one was tough to me. West Rusk. I want to pick West Rusk, but like you said, Jeremy, last week wasn't a really good omen for them. Like we talked about how Redwater was not real great this year. Redwater was 4-7. They beat Wascom. They weren't really any good.
Yeah,
They
so
beat
did
Paul
Wood.
Hewitt. They weren't any good. They beat Paris Chisholm. They weren't any good. Like the only teams they beat were not good. So for West Rusk to come out and only beat them by 19 points, it worries me a little bit. They only beat Edgewood the week before by 15. An Edgewood team that is solid, but they were the 4th best team in the district. I want to see the team that beat Art by 30. That's the team I want to see. And I'm hoping they do that. I'm going with West Rusk here. I think that last week was hopefully a wake-up call for them. Coach Mata will get them in there this week and say, hey, guys, we got to come out with our A game. We can't play with these teams. We got to come out and assert our dominance. I'm going with West Rusk, but I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I think it's whoever comes out and plays the best. I don't think there's an advantage just for really either team. I think it's who comes out, plays, who doesn't turn the ball over, takes care of the ball, makes no mistakes. I think that's going to be a really key into this game.
This one, on just looking at the names of it, immediately I was like, yeah, West Rusk, boom.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started looking at it a little more, this New Diana team, yeah, they only scored 6 last week, but they didn't give up any. They shut out Anderson Shiro. That's a 3-2 matchup where New Diana was the 3, but the 2 ahead of New Diana, Harmony and Dangerfield, they're only 2 losses this year. So I just New Diana's non-district to me was not impressive at all. And then West Rusk, when you look at their non-district, they're 2 losses to Malakoff and Tatum, 2 pretty good football teams there. So West Rusk has struggled the past couple of weeks, but I'm kind of going to put them in the same group with Van, where I think they're better than they've shown the past couple of weeks. And I think that they will use this New Diana game to kind of get right, if you will. Not saying it'll be a blowout, but maybe find out some things that they can move forward going on in the playoffs. I just think West Rusk is the better team. I'm impressed with New Diana's run. And if the New Diana defense that came out and played against Anderson Shiro last week comes out and plays against West Rusk, then this one could be very interesting late. But I think West Rusk just has too much firepower with Ty Harper now, and I can't remember. There was a Jimmy Harper that was on the team a couple years ago, and now a Ty Harper. I think it's Ty that's on the team now. Jimmy a couple years ago. Anyway, they got athletes all over the place at West Rusk too. So give me the Raiders.
Let me ask you a question, Cal. How many times this year do you think New Diana has given up more than 14 points?
I can look at the schedule, but I don't know.
Don't look at the schedule. Three. Okay.
They give up more only 3 times?
Probably
times.
I can guess what a couple of those teams
Sorry,
were.
four times. Okay.
Probably Dangerfield and Harmony or two of them.
They gave up 42 to Harmony and Dangerfield. Okay. Now, the Harmony game, they only lost by 1 point. That was at home, 42-41.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then they gave up 35 to Wascom on the road at Wascom. Okay, that's not good. But they gave up 28 to Redwater. I'm sitting here talking bad about West Rusk only beating Redwater by 19.
New Diana only won by 7.
At home.
Only won by 7.
Right? Now, I like the 6-0 win last week. I love a 6-0 game in the playoffs. That was probably boring for everybody who bought a ticket, but if I'd have got in there for free, I'd have been happy. Okay? But here's the thing. They were picked dead last before the year started in their district, right? Freshman quarterback DeJuan Johnson has been better than advertised. I think they thought he was good, right? I mean, he's got 4.5, 4.6 speed. He's doing it on the air. He's doing it on the ground. But West Rusk has that playoff experience we're talking about, right? Colt Jackson, 1,000 yards. Noah Murphy, of course. They got all kind of guys, right, that they can go with on that West Rusk team. And quite honestly, you know, we talk about having a new coach. We've talked about this a few times this year. A new coach, but a new coach that's been on staff for a long time. And that personality and that culture is still there. Same group. They're battle tested in the playoffs. I love what New Diana's done, but I don't think they can get it done this week. I think it's going to be West Rusk. And I think it may be, of the games on our list, well, there's a couple more we'll talk about in a minute, but this one could be pretty convincing, I think.
I'm picking New Diana, as I call them Dirty Diana. I'm just going to call them that. That's you got to change the name Dirty Diana in the playoffs. You got to do that.
That sounds like Dirty Dog.
Sounds like what?
It's a wrestling thing, man.
Oh, but no, I'm going with New Diana. I think they have the tougher district. I'm going New Diana. I think they're ready.
I'm sorry. I'm going with West Rusk. I'm comparing it with that Redwater game, and it's probably not a fair comparison, but that's what I'm using. And even though we wanted West Rusk to have blown out Redwater have more of a lead against Redwater, they still had more of a lead than New Diana did. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with West Rusk.
The thing you got to remember too about last Friday night, at least, or especially Thursday night too, was the weather was such a factor in a lot of those games, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you played on Thursday, throw it all out the window, except for Garrison because they
Garrison didn't bother them any at all.
Yeah,
didn't bother Cooper either. They scored 61, so it didn't.
Sometimes it's based on your opponent, but the point is, the score can be varied depending on where and who you played and when.
All right. Game 7, guys. Longview Lobos will take on Frisco Reedy in a big game. Both teams, one loss, guys. Look down here and I look at Frisco Reedy's schedule. The Lions have lost one game. That was to Frisco Lone Star by 3 points. That was in their third game of the season. So I know what Longview's schedule is. I know who they play. They play a lot of good, solid East Texas teams. They have played Marshall. They played Legacy, Lufkin, Lancaster. That district was really good, I think, top to bottom. I think Longview was superior in that. I think they're the better team in this game, and they're an East Texas team. But I still think they're the better team. I'm going with Longview.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this one short and simple for you. Give me the Longview Lobos. I'm not picking against Longview or even considering picking against Longview until they play Alito. Carry on.
Yeah, Longview's going to win the game. And here's the thing: we always talk about Taylor Tatum, right? And rightfully so. Tatum's a great player. You know, I like what they do with the quarterback position. Honestly, I think that's the underrated part. They protect the ball from the quarterback position. You got to be able to do that when teams start going to pack the box and try to take away Tatum. Good luck, by the way. I don't think it's going to work that easily. When they can protect the ball from the quarterback position like they have, I'm looking at just Andrew Tutt stats: 14 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1,200 yards. Okay, we can live with that as a quarterback, right? Now, Reedy has their own guy, right? Running back Tristan Airy, 20 touchdowns, 1,200 yards. Longview have their handful with him, but Longview to me prove they can play in that district schedule. Give me the Lobos. Give me the Lobos big.
Yeah, it's L for Longview, for sure. I'm not picking them over anybody else. I'm not picking them over everybody else besides East Texas. So you know how I'm going there. I don't think they're gonna bow down just yet. So I'm picking Longview.
Yeah. My little my little girl came in here and said, "I picked this one." Talking about Frisco, Reedy. She don't know what she's talking about.
We didn't ask you.
She has
We
no
didn't ask
idea
you.
who Longview is.
But you,
I didn't ask her nothing. She just came in here with that. So I'm going with Longview though.
All right.
Clearly doesn't like green.
Game 8.
Yeah.
Malakoff and Mount Vernon. Man, it's another really good matchup here in East Texas game. I guess Malakoff right on that edge. Corey, they're right on the edge of East Texas for your geography.
I know exactly where Malakoff is.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I know where Malakoff is.
Okay, all right. But Malakoff, I mean, they've been impressive this year. I mean, you look at who they played. West Russ, we just talked about them still in the playoffs. Grandview, they're still in the playoffs. Got Gladewater, who made the playoffs, which is who Mount Vernon beat last week, by the way. You've got, Fairfield. And they've played the schedule kind of got easier as it went down, but they played some guys this year. They have not really been challenged hardly at all. You look at their closest game is, that's hard to find one. Grandview by 30.
Grandview, that 30 points, the closest one.
I mean, and you look at the defense. Corey, you like defense. How about this for a defense? How about giving up 14, 21, 0, 7, 0, 0, 0, 7, 10, 14, and 0? I'm taking Malakoff by a lot. Sorry, Mount Vernon. Your run's over.
Yeah, Malakoff's a really good football team. 5 shutouts in their 11 games. Defense has been now. To preface that though, Kemp, not a good team.
Yeah.
Eustis, they gave up 7-2 with probably the 4th string in. Not a good team. But yes, their closest game has been a 30-point game to Grandview, who we all think is a really good team. Mount Vernon's been playing better football here recently with that big win over Pottsboro at the end of the year to get this 2 seed. And here's another thing. Let me just say this real quick about seeding in playoffs. It is almost a punishment to be a 2 seed because Lindale facing Iowa Colony, one of the top teams in the state, as a 2 seed, who Chapel Hill gets El Campo. So you get rewarded for losing earlier and becoming a 3 seed instead of a 2 seed. Just like this, if Mount Vernon was a 3 seed, they're playing Grandview this week instead of having to take on Malakoff. Like, it's just, I think this 2 seed out of the districts, for some reason, they get punished in that second round game where they have to play the 1 out of another district or something. And it's just, I don't know. I don't like it. That's about a little
They
rant.
should let Chapel Hill beat
them.
They should let Chapel Hill beat them.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the seeding system seems kind of jacked up to me when you can fight all year to get a 2 seed and then have to play one of the better teams in the second round.
I guarantee you that Coach Hubbard is going to have the same argument because that was the same way that happened to Burkill.
got to bring it up.
Well, honestly, it was. I mean, we talked about it that
Yeah.
you guys fought all year to get that home playoff game, but then you ended up having to play probably the best team out of the district because they just slipped up and did that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so what I'm about to tell you has nothing to do with my pick. My pick's easy, right? Okay, but we talked all year long about what in the world's wrong with Mount Vernon. They lose to Sabine, and we're like, what the heck? Then they turn around the next week, lose to Mineola. We're like, what in the world's going on in Mount Vernon? Do a little deeper dive here as I'm looking at this. Their best two players are sophomores, right? And so their improvement's been pretty marked. Cord Johnson, the quarterback, he's thrown for 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns. Dawson Witherspoon, the sophomore running back, has run for 1,600 yards and 25 touchdowns. And look no further to how much they've improved. In week 2, they went on the road, beat Gladewater by 16. Last week, they beat them by 42. So Mount Vernon's a much better football team than they were 2 months ago. However, it's not going to be good enough this week. They're going to lose to Malakoff. But let's just keep this in mind when we roll around next August and we start talking about teams on the rise. Anybody who's getting their sophomores, freshmen, juniors even, the experience they're getting right now, and they're putting up the numbers they are right now, it bodes well for them for next year. So Mount Vernon will be back in the conversation next year, I feel like. But this week it's all about the Tigers from Malakoff this week.
Yeah, y'all know I like Malakoff. I've been a Malakoff fan since I was a little kid. That basketball team was legit way back in the day when TJC used to host those regional basketball tournaments for Class 2A. Malakoff, Grapeland, man, they'd be there every single year. They had a great run, and just got good athletes. Now the football team's on the map. Great athletes. They're like the Tatum of the West. I mean, they play. I mean, they play hard and they play tough and they're big. And I give them much respect. Just like Jeremy said, I've been watching a lot of these teams, these young teams here. We said the same thing about Gilmer. They're young, and these teams that are like good sophomores. We witnessed that, Chapel Hill and some other schools. They've got some good sophomores, good freshmen, sophomore class. When they finally get in their in their own, man, they just look unstoppable. As individual players. Look at Terry Bussey and Timpson. Those guys have just turned it on. They're turning out athletes. But if you're Mount Vernon, the up and down, the herky jerkiness, man, that loss looks bad. Every time you look at that Sabine loss, looks really bad. But I'm not going to play them right now. It's playoffs. They're 1-0 in the playoffs right now, but Malakoff's a better team. And they may just take this one on the chin. But it's okay. I'd rather take this one on the chin than not be in the playoffs at all. So
I'm going Malakoff, guys. One reason and one reason only. Their quarterback name is Mike Jones.
Yeah. Who?
When I saw that, the first thing I said was, who? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not picking against him.
I wonder what his phone number is.
I know. You should ask him. So,
what? I couldn't be a basketball announcer. I couldn't be a basketball announcer.
Man, that would be crazy.
I'd be like, Mike Jones, and I just have the whole student body. Who?
Hey, the sad thing.
No, not even just that. Could you imagine, running like the scoreboard and all of that? I'd be playing it. Listen, I know Mike Jones got some questionable music, but I would at least play a little sound bite from that.
That's the sad part, though. He's probably not even old enough to know who Mike Jones is.
He probably don't know who Mike Jones is.
He don't even get it.
No.
He don't even understand that his
parents know who Mike Jones is.
His
parents know who Mike Jones is.
Okay, listen. Here's how I know you're right. When we played in Houston a few weeks ago, I looked at one of our other coaches, Coach Agnew, the boys basketball coach. I said, the fact that we're in Houston and we've played a game, we're about to leave here, and we ain't played Mike Jones or Paul Wall one time shows that we ain't doing it right. So
it's a crime.
Yeah, exactly. So,
no little flip, no nothing. I ain't got
no
nothing.
Oh,
man.
I just, oh my God.
No Bun B, no Pip C, no nothing.
I'd have to play it just one time. I'd have to play it. He
Screw,
scored a touchdown. I have to play it at least one time.
Sounds like
from the South.
It sounds like we need an old school podcast to go back to some old school music or something, guys.
Can you still call Mike Jones' phone number, I wonder?
Man, I'm pretty sure he shut that down.
Let's try it.
I'm going to try it right now. Here we go, guys. Y'all ready? Here we go. Let's see. Hold nobody answer.
Number is no longer.
If he picks up this phone, bro, I'm telling you.
Is hello? Who's it?
It's ringing.
Is it ringing?
This could be great radio or bad radio. I'm confused.
Come on.
Come on, let's go.
He ain't gonna answer.
Ain't gonna answer.
Okay,
Ain't gonna answer.
At
I'm
least-
reading.
At least they had a cool voicemail box or something.
I know,
It's
man.
the old
Like,
pick up the phone commercial.
Oh man. All right. Game 9, fellas. Tatum takes on Whitney. And Whitney comes from District 7-3. They're in the same district with Grandview. 10-1 the season for Whitney. Their lone loss was to Grandview. But look down here through their schedule. And I can just Dallas Life Oak Cliff. This isn't basketball. This isn't basketball. They're not good in football. Dallas A+ Academy, 85-0. Dallas Madison. This district is not a football district, fellas. Grandview and them pretty much the only teams in here that I mean, West is, they're okay. Tatum played, on the other hand, a gauntlet of schedule. I mean, you look over at what Tatum did, and Vince knows exactly what Tatum did. We talked about it last week. You play Center, Dangerfield, Pittsburgh, and West Rusk and Lumberton as your pre-district schedule. How many of those teams are still left? Well, Center just lost. They were in the playoffs. Dangerfield's still in. Pittsburgh, did they make the playoffs?
no.
They were close. West Rusk is still in, and Lumberton is still in. So 4 out of the 5 made the playoffs. 3 of them are still in, and they won 2 of those games. I don't know. I think it's hard to pick against Tatum. They challenge themselves so much. I mean, the Atlanta loss, we talked about it, but as Jeremy said, Atlanta was a pretty good team. I think it's just one of those. Tatum didn't have to have that game, so there wasn't an urgency. They'd already won the district championship. Maybe they just wanted to rest some guys. They came out and took it to Commerce by 3 touchdowns last week. So give me the Tatum Eagles, guys, in this one.
Yeah, I think basically everything you just said, I agree with. Tatum's had a more difficult season. I think Whitney is in a very soft district outside of them in Grandview, and West, I guess you could add in there, is decent. But yeah, Tatum's played a much tougher schedule. And so, yeah, give me the Tatum Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tatum. I had in my notes here that Whitney scored 60 points 5 times this year. Doesn't matter. One of those is Grace Prep. I mean, not Grace Prep. Sorry, excuse me, because they took care of us. But Life Oak Cliff, they beat 64-14. We hung 60 on those guys too. The Grandview loss. That's a good measuring stick, and that's a weird game. They only lost by 8. But give me Tatum, Whitney. I don't think they're ready for what's coming.
Taking a big T. Tatum Eagles, baby. I just want you to know there's a lot of Eagles in this pick 'em. It's like 8 Eagle schools? That's a lot. And that's really a lot. But anyway, hey, go Eagles.
I'm going with Tatum, obviously. I kind of gave him a little bit of an ultimatum last week.
They heard you.
If you will. Yeah. I said if you lose this game, I'll never pick you again. So I didn't think about if you win this game, I have to continue picking them. But I think that's only right. Or at least for right now it is anyway. So yeah, I'm going with Tatum.
All right. Game 10, guys. This game 10 is another one of those wow matchups in round 2. You've got Hooks versus Dangerfield. One of these 2 teams will be going home after round 2. And this is the one game on mine that I didn't fill in. I kind of left this one blank because to me, this is just 2 really good teams. Hooks, if you can either say they are 10-0 or 10-1, depending on who you ask. They had the one game that was canceled, but Winsboro was winning the game. But everything else on their schedule is a win. Dangerfield's losses were to Timpson, Center, and Harmony, 3 really solid teams. Man, I don't know about this one, guys. I'm gonna let you talk a little bit and see what someone sways me on this one, because I'm kind of up in the air.
This one was the toughest one for me. All out of all the picks, I just went back and looked through the schedule, and Dangerfield, 2 of their losses, Timpson and Center. Center's out of the playoffs now, but that was a close loss. And then Timpson was a close loss. We know how good they are. Harmony was a close loss. They won the district. But outside, if you look at Dangerfield's last 7 games, basically when district started and then the one playoff game, 5 of those 7 games have been shutouts. 42-0 Hughes Springs, 42-0 New Diana, 40-0 Elysian Fields, 62-0 Queen City, 48-0 New Waverly. And then they gave up 6 to Wascom. And then Harmony beat them 26-21. Now, we just talked about this New Diana team, how they were improving, and Dangerfield shut them down tremendously. I think I'm just going to – I want to just err on the defensive side. I think Dangerfield's playing some better defense right now. Now, Hooks, they put up 92 last week. We talked a little bit off air about the antics during the game. We'll see if that carries over or anything. But Hooks has been putting up some tremendous numbers too. We talked about Redwater, how West Russ struggled with Redwater, how New Diana struggled with Redwater. Hooks did not struggle with Redwater. 76-0 against Redwater. So I don't know, man. This one's it's up in the air. But
Hooks is that number was weird to me, Kyle, because if you look back at Hooks's numbers on defense, they hadn't given up more than 22 points before that 57 point output.
Yeah.
So that's an outlier. Weird to me.
Yeah, but Edgewood's had a weird year too, where they've looked really good in some games, and again, I think just from reading the chat, I think that maybe, and tonight during the wrap-up show, we'll have hopefully some Hooks people there that can clear this up for us. But from what I read in the chat, Hooks was up so big in the first half, they probably took some of their starters out, which is where Edgewood may have started coming up with those points, and then Hooks pulled away again. Just maybe that's not what happened. I don't know. But this is a toss-up game for me. I'm going to go with Dangerfield simply because I think they're playing better defense right now, and defense wins championships. So give me the Dangerfield Tigers in a close one, like a field goal type game. Very close game. And here's another point. Dangerfield's the 2 out of that district, and they got to play Hooks. We're getting these big-time matchups in the second round because of the seeding that's all jacked up. Anyway.
Because the East Texas districts are so good normally, and then
I mean, that's part of it. Now, this is interesting, and KO hit on a bunch of this stuff. We talked before the year started. We talked about this in the preseason that we would know a lot about Hooks after Harmony and Cooper, first 2 weeks of the season. They beat Harmony by 4. They beat Cooper on the road by 7. It's Cooper's only loss. So we learned a lot about them, right? They destroyed some teams that they should have destroyed. They beat DeKalb by 34. We talked about their playoff team they beat by 34. They beat New Boston by 51, a team that beat Troop last week, right? So we know what Hooks is. They've given up 80 points all year long. They gave up 57 last week to Edgewood. Who knows what happened, right? Whatever. But I look at Dangerfield, and I think back, and I'll be honest with you. I have numbers written down here. If you look at Hooks, Keyshawn Wells, the running back, almost 2,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. Senior receiver Jatavius Johnson, 40 catches, 800 yards, 11 touchdowns. Video game numbers, right? And the best name on the list tonight, quarterback Ripken Birdwell. Somebody's dad was a Cal Ripken fan. Bless him, right? He's thrown for 27 touchdowns, run for 8 more. They are very skilled offensively. They played a lot of bad teams, whatever. Okay. But go back and look at Dangerfield. They beat Gladewater by 30. They beat Tatum by 17. They go on the road to Timpson, and they beat they lose to Bussy and them boys by 7 in a game that, by the way, they had to move Bussy to quarterback to come back and win the game at the end, right? So Timpson gets the win over Dangerfield at home, but they had to work to get it, right? And nobody else has taken them to that level. All right. The center game, center's got athletes with anybody. I'll put center's athletes against anybody, whatever their issues are, they lose that one. Then they go on this run that KO talked about, just destroying people. They gave up one touchdown in all of district except to Harmony. Now, the Harmony loss, Harmony's playing their best football right now, okay? I think you would agree with that. I think, well, potentially playing their best football right now. They go to Dangerfield, they win a 5-point game. But I just think Dangerfield, even looking at Hooks and the 11-0, I said earlier I couldn't go against 11-0. I'm going against 11-0 here. I think Dangerfield, you can't punish their losses for losing to Timpson and Center and Harmony. I look back to that Timpson game and I think but here's the scary thing. I've said this all year long about them if you've been listening to me on the show. When Dangerfield's playing well, good luck beating them. But something is always, there's nights they show up and something's not right. And you just always feel like something's off. If they have one of those nights, Hooks will beat them. But I think that right now, they're going to be fine. New Waverly wasn't a good test. 48-0. They're a 4-win team, whatever. I'll take them over Hooks this week.
First of all, I want to say it wasn't 8 Eagle schools on the floor. I had to correct myself. But anyway, no, nonetheless, Dangerfield. I'm picking Dangerfield. I know Hooks is dangerous, dog. I mean, actually, Dangerfield's gonna be an underdog in his bout. But Dangerfield's let me down the past couple years, and I've been picking them, man, left and right. And every time I get hyped up to pick them, they let me down. Kind of like Pine Tree or Shine Tree this year. They Shine Tree because they made the playoffs. And as soon as I pick them, it's like they end up losing, strangely. But I'm not doing that this time. I'm picking Dangerfield for the upset. And it will be an upset because Hooks is better than Dangerfield this year. Hooks is rough. And this is going to be a dogfight. This is one of those bowl game matchups. It's like Georgia versus Oregon or something like that. Well, I wouldn't say Oregon because Pac-12 will never fare well. Let me pick another school. I don't know, Oregon versus Utah. That'd be a lot better. But I don't know. It's just I'm hoping Dangerfield. I'm hoping Dangerfield does me right, and for this pick'em challenge. And I hope they get it. I hope they get this dub. It's going to be a good game nonetheless. It's going to be a close one too.
Y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting I had that off. Man, this is gonna be a good game. Obviously, I hope it's a good game. You know what? It would suck if this turned out to be a blowout. Um, I like Dangerfield. I do. I think Dangerfield deserves to go to the next round. I think Hooks does too, though. It's just unfortunate I have to meet right now. Um, but that's what this is. So I think I'm going to go with Hooks. I think that's what I think that's what's settled on. I'm just gonna ride with Hooks and see what they do.
All right, Vince, I agree with you. I'm going with Hooks in this one. I think it's going to be a great game. Man, you just look at their schedule and they've played some tough teams and they were able to take care of them. Not saying that the teams they played were better than what Dangerfield has played, but they did take care of Harmony earlier in the year, and that was a healthy Harmony.
They did.
It was a healthy Harmony week. Now, you're going to say, well, that was week one. They've changed or whatever, but they've continued to improve. They played with Winsboro as well. I think Winsboro is a really good team in 3A Division I. It was a really close game whenever the game was called. I just think they're on a mission. I just think they're going to take this game. I think they want a rematch with Harmony. I think they're in line to get one at some point if they continue to play well, and Harmony does too. Unfortunately for Dangerfield, I think this is one of those, like Kyle said, it's a tough matchup. You lose that last week of the season, you get thrown to this second spot, and now you get a really good Hooks team in round two. But that bracket's just really loaded, and I honestly think it's the way they do the districts. I wish they mixed them up more. I know it's for like regional purposes, but I think they should mix these up a little more where you don't face these teams quite so early. But either way, that's the way the bracket is, and I'm going with Hooks, guys. So, and that's the Pick'ems week. Man, this is it's gonna be a good week of football, guys. I'm looking forward to it. We'll talk about last week's games tonight on the wrap up show. And man, I know Kyle, you're going to be at Earl Campbell Field, I'm guessing, because that's where you are sitting currently there. Who you got this week?
Yeah, so Friday is our final red zone of the season. And the final red zone game of the week this week is Malakoff and Mount Vernon, a battle of the Tigers over at Rose Stadium. I'm looking forward to it. I do think, like we said earlier, I think Malakoff will win, but I'm excited to see this Malakoff team. I haven't been able to see them all season. We've been talking about them, but I haven't been able to see them because they're in a district that kind of plays all these teams out west, so we don't ever really get to see them much. But I'm excited to see Malakoff, and I'm excited to see how the youth of Mount Vernon can handle the pressure of playing a really good team in the second round of the playoffs. So, but that's where I'll be Friday night. Thursday night, it's not confirmed just yet. Well, I guess by now it would be. Plan on me being in Athens Thursday night for Tenaha and Dawson in that area around matchup. So a couple of games this week. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, like you said, great slate of football all across the board in the area around.
Jeremy, you want to let them know where you're going to be this week?
Man, well, Thursday I'm doing a little thump, a little basketball action. Friday I'll be with you over at when you sent me the message and we were doing that game. I had to really look and see where it was. I wasn't even really sure. I was like, hope I didn't get myself into something I want to do. But Hallsville's not too bad. We'll go over there and have a good time. What should be a quality football game with Harmony and ARP. And then Saturday I'm going to start picking out turkeys, and I'm ready to get going.
It is it's Thanksgiving break next week, so
it's getting there. Yeah, by Friday afternoon I'll be in a great mood. I got 2 basketball games this week, Corey. Tuesday night at Troop. Thursday night I'll be over in Corsicana at Mildred High School. So 2 pretty good tests for us after 3 games that maybe not the test we'd hoped they would be, but we'll get to this.
Hey, Jeremy, let me ask you a question real quick. Y'all played Fruitvale, right?
We did. Yes, sir.
Riley Rubio, the little point guard. I think she's a decent little point guard, especially for the 1A class, 2A.
Yeah. So let me tell you, she actually they scored 30 points against us Saturday, which was the most we'd given up. And when not even saying that, like I hate to that sounds like a jerk, right? But that's not what I mean.
That's the most we've given
I mean,
up.
it's a stat. I mean, stats are facts. So I mean,
but she scored 14 of their 30.
She's good.
I mean, she's a good player.
She's good at driving to the lane and setting up other teammates.
Kyle, you have to get across half court against Jeremy's press before you can do that. Unfortunately, though.
Okay, quit it. She didn't make any threes. Now last year we played them. She did make a few threes and she did a good job. She made 6 of 8 free throws. We fouled her. We hacked her a lot, I guess. And she went 4 from 13 from the floor. But she scored half their points. And,
I think she's their best player.
She is. Yeah. She's a good player. And listen, their new coach is going to have them ready.
They got a new coach?
Yeah, Coach Hay comes over from Canton.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I mean, I scheduled the game with Amanda Hodge, I guess, had been there, and but he's going to have them going. When you come from Canton and that program, he'll have them rolling here pretty soon.
All right, sorry to get off track.
No, you're good.
Question.
Vince, where are you going to be this week?
So I think I'm gonna be at the Beckville Garrison game on Thursday night out in Longview. I think
Stadium.
I've gotten the green light to I'll say to make that game. So I think that's gonna be that. Honestly, might be to me the best game on our list we have.
Maybe the best game of the week. Period.
Yeah. I know some you could probably argue a few others, but I think that's gonna be the biggest one, and I'm excited because I get to be at it. So yeah, that's where I'll be Thursday night.
It's gonna be good. I'll be with Vince Thursday, and then Jeremy on Friday, and then our man Christian can tell you where he'll be tonight. Hopefully he'll be back with us. But yeah, it's gonna wrap it up for our Power Plus Mouthguard Beast from the East show. Make sure you tune in tonight. Again, 8:30 p.m. We can wrap up show. We'll talk about the first round of the playoffs, and we'll kind of break down the games that we had last week. There's a lot of good ones, and we'll talk about them. For K.O. Collins, Jeremy Hubbard, Corey Marshall, and Vincent Johnson, we'll catch you next time right here on the Beast from the East show on NETSN.
Truly, before now, I didn't really know what actually a mouthpiece was designed for, other than to keep you from clinking your teeth together or biting your tongue. I had no idea that it was to align your jaw. The season that we did not use the Power Plus, we lost 4 kids, 2 that were season-ending concussions, and obviously we contributed to the Power Plus mouth guard because, like I said, we've not had one since we've been using them. Obviously, we've competed a lot better than what we did last year. We have not had a concussion this season. Obviously a tremendous factor for us for not losing kids, and their performance level is a lot higher as well. My son was actually the quarterback on the second state championship team, but one of the things that he was able to do as being the quarterback, the mouth guard was on the lower part of his bite, so he was able to speak clearly, and that's a huge thing in athletics, is to be able to